All right, guys, welcome back. This week's project for me in the shop is this laser engraver. I use it to add initials and monograms on items, either after they were built, if they're made by another company and somebody trying to gift it for Christmas. I usually charge to add a small amount of personalization on an item. This week I have some keychains I need to do, but I want to make sure they're all consistent. And as you can see here, I'm always fighting with trying to eyeball this and align it in a manner that's actually be not only horizontal and vertically accurate, but consistently in the same spot every single time. With this layout right now, all I have is this little cheap grid, and this grid is not even centered, as you can see here. So what I'd like to do next is actually work on a jig to help me align items so that I can actually consistently add laser engravings in the same spot multiple times across different pieces if I need to. All right. So to get the basic measurements of the base here, I used some calipers here. And as you can see, I wrote down all the dimensions, length, width, and also the height. I was able to find the height by using the calipers. They have a little step on the back here that allows you to determine the height of two items. And as you can see here, I was able to pick up the depth of the actual base by using this caliper. I also used the same caliper to get the width. This caliper wasn't long enough to actually do the whole length of the base, so I went with this set of calipers here that a friend of mine gave to me recently, and these actually worked out pretty great. They go all up to 12 inches. So I used this caliper to determine the overall length of it, which was 7 inches, just a hair over 7 inches, I should say. When I did math on it, it was 181.94 millimeters. With this information, now I can go into Onshape, which is what I use for personal projects, and build a jig that will actually attach to this base. All right, guys. So I've taken the dimensions that we measured earlier with the calipers and entered them into a new sheet here in Onshape. As you can see, I established the length and the width already, and went ahead and extruded it, added some corners to it. Now we actually have a nice little reference to build our tools. I went ahead and did all the work on this already, just kind of showing you what I did. So the first item I added was a guide bar for the horizontal side of the plate. This allows me to ensure that we're square to the body here. And then on top of that, I added an additional tool. This will snap on to the horizontal bar and allow me to establish a full 90-degree reference here. This would be handy for things like key fobs, small chapstick holders, and other unusually small items that would fit underneath the laser to get a monogram or a small set of initials or somebody's name zapped onto a piece of leather. So what this will do here is allow me to make sure that once I have it squared up underneath the laser, I can also use it the reference point to do multiple burns. So if I have to do, say, like 10 key fobs, I now have a way to lock in where the location should be and make it easy for me to go ahead and get the same continuous location on every single piece. Hopefully that makes sense here. If you have any questions on this here, enter it in the comments and let me know. This is the design I went with for now. This is the easiest one to do. I can get into much more complicated jigs and shapes here as needed. All right, so I got the laser set up to engrave another key fob, or in this case, there's actually a luggage tag. Normally in the past, I've had to eyeball it, but if I'm going to do 10 of these, I need to make sure that they're all going to be consistently in the same spot. So I went ahead and 3D printed the guide. This actually snaps right onto the base. It allows me to get a horizontal alignment there. And then I got the little small piece here that lets me get the vertical alignment going. Now, whenever I engrave, I get the same spot each time. This leather actually got a little bend to it, so I'm going to unbend it. Get it back on here. Make sure it's right where I want it to be visually. And it is ready to engrave. Get my safety glasses on. Go to the next step here. I'm going to select leather. This is a 5-watt focus beam laser. That means it's very much limited on how deep it can engrave, but it will do a fairly good job. I'm going to go ahead and set it at 99%. And we're going to do the carving speed. We're going to slow it down a little bit and ensure that it'll actually get a good clean engraving as it passes through each time. We're only going to do one round all the way across. We'll go ahead and start, send the file over, and see how it comes out. There you go. So now it's burned in there. I can get the next piece. You're all lined up. I can do it again. Now it looks like I moved it a little bit when I touched it last, so let's bump it back over. I probably could tighten this up here, but this will actually work for what it does. I'll go ahead and engrave again. Start carving, and we'll let it do its job. It'll burn on there. All right, so in the previous clip there, you saw me use this guide to set the luggage tag on there where I wanted it. I did decide to redesign it. This was the previous vertical guide, but it had a little bit of play, so I kept wobbling back and forth here. I went ahead and redesigned it and reprinted it. Now it's got a lot less play in the guide here, and it's a little easier to use. I may actually go back and redesign it and add a ledge here to kind of lock it into the end of the table here. That's kind of the next step for this design. When I try to create tools or components for tools, I try not to overly build them in CAD. I try to build them simple, one step at a time there, so I may reiterate this several more times. But as you see here, I went ahead and redesigned it, and now I have a little less play in between the two components. If you have any input or ideas there, hit me up in the comments and let me know what you think. And I will see you guys in the next video.